Wake up, Jason. Get out of the hibernation pod. We got some shit we really fucking need to talk about right now.
I just love it how I would literally maybe like an hour ago, I was in bed just like staring at the ceiling, and then all of a sudden, like, you know how like in Batman, like the bat signal, and then I see your message and you just said, yo. And I'm like,
We need to talk.
and I'm just like, what? I'm like, aren't we on vacation? We did say we would have an episode or two, right? And
but-
guess what?
Yeah, so we have been on a break for the last 2 weeks, and we intend to see out the rest of this break for a few more weeks.
Just in case people are unaware, because we actually did have an influx of listeners on the moment we decided to take a hiatus. So
Yes. This might actually be a good time to address that, too.
yeah, so welcome everyone. This is the Good Anime Palette Podcast.
Welcome to the filler arc.
Welcome to the filler arc. I'm your co-host, Jason. I'm joined as always, as usual, by my other co-host and confidant, Will. So here's the sitch, guys. So originally, we were said that we will take a break until 2025. That is still happening. And also, we also said that let's do some filler arcs. Maybe we'll see. And that moment has arrived. So, Will, you woke me up. Look, if we rewind back an hour and a half ago or something like that, you woke me up. You said, I got to talk. And then I was like, about what? I think it was I think you said I need to talk about something, and then was it me? Actually, what was the
So the full transcript of text
we're leaking transcript?
Went down as morning, dude.
And then you said that your or we won't say the name, but your wife is busy, so you're free in the morning.
You're free to hop on an impromptu recording in the next hour or so. It's like, yeah, you're gonna come over. It's like, yes. I just really, really need to talk to you about the Sony situation.
And then I just said, do you mean Kadokawa? And then you said, it's huge and probably in a bad way. And then I just go, yeah, sure, let's do it.
All right. So, in the past couple of days, actually, this story was broken by Reuters on November 19th. 19th, right?
Yep, November 19th.
That there is rumblings of a major acquisition going down in Japan between two big companies. Now, I mentioned Sony as one of them already, the big media tech conglomerate hailing out of Japan, but essentially has a worldwide footprint. And the other company, in terms of this acquisition, is the Kadokawa Corporation. Now, we've mentioned Kadokawa many a time on this podcast. It's a huge Japanese media conglomerate in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Conglomerate, I mean, it's an oligarch because there's a lot of different media and publishing companies.
I think oligarch is the best description of it because they really have their hands in so many pies. And obviously Sony, no shit, is in a lot of other pies as well.
Yes. So to sort of like give a sort of rundown on what's been happening.
Yeah, let's give the skinny on the facts first before we go into commentary, yeah?
Yeah. So in the past couple of days, Sony has come out and it has been somewhat confirmed. I think pretty much confirmed, but we don't want to just jump the gun yet because nothing's actually officially happened yet. But there has been a letter of intent issued to acquire Kadokawa.
Right.
This, if it goes through, should be happening in the coming weeks.
Yeah. So just to reiterate, on the 19th, Reuters broke the news, and initially in the Reuters article, which I find hilarious, Sony declined to comment, and Kadokawa said it cannot comment, which is very sus.
Yeah.
Then, a couple of days later, the 21st to be exact, Kadokawa released a public statement saying that, oh, hey, guys, we have received an initial letter of intent, but no decision has been made at this time. So, just sit tight. But when you say, like, I don't know, like, okay.
There's actually a bunch of things that are happening behind the scenes. Look, when it comes to any sort of mergers and acquisitions, like, let's not look that far down the road with the whole Funimation Crunchyroll thing that was going down, right? That took a while to go through as well.
Yeah.
And it still took a long time for them to sort their shit out, and then they realized, actually, you know what? Fuck Funimation. We're just going to take the Crunchyroll name, the Crunchyroll catalog, and just brand it as our own.
And all those Funimation stuff that you guys got from, like, Funimation times, those are just going to be phased out even though you bought it fair and square. So
but Crunchyroll.
Yeah, Crunchyroll, right? Big company, yeah?
Yeah. So people are probably looking at this and being like, well, I mean, this is just another, big major conglomerate absorbing another asset that would one, line up their portfolio, but also strengthen their catalog and reduce competitiveness, because then now it just means that with everything under one roof, it's essentially the same thing as Disney going out and buying out ESPN, buying out Marvel, buying out Fox.
Yeah, or it's like, hey, what about AT&T in your area? Why is it that like certain internet providers have very much divvied up in the US certain sections such that you have no other choice but to have AT&T or like what is it, like Warner and stuff like that.
Well, there's Verizon. And there was a period of time, Sprint and T-Mobile. I think they've done a merger.
Yes,
they
but
did. even then, it's like it's still nothing compared to how big a stranglehold AT&T had. This is very U.S. centric, but it gives you an idea of what happens when you have one company that decides to have, well, one, they have the financial power to do it, but two, they also have the bullying and the hubris power to just go out and say, you know what, fuck it. I don't want you to exist. I want all your clients. I want more money, and I want more coverage for my own business.
It's like, why put in the effort to do all the hard work? We could just buy all the hard work, right?
Yes.
And for our Korean listeners, if they are some, there should be. It's like Samsung, right? So
yeah. Actually, it's funny you bring up the Korean angle, because I do want to go into that just in a little bit.
All right.
In terms of sort of understanding how big this acquisition
is, because we really need to explain why everyone is freaking out. Legitimately, everyone is freaking out.
Yes. I think the first thing I want to sort of get out of the way is a lot of the sort of discontent or the controversy or the murmurings is actually happening within the gaming sphere, because a lot of people are wondering, why are they even doing this, and kind of worrying about the future of gaming. And you may be wondering, what does Kadokawa have to do with gaming? Well, Kadokawa is actually also the parent company of From Software.
Wait, what is From Software?
Yep, From Software is a games company that essentially produced some of the biggest blockbusters we've seen in recent years.
They invented their own genre, the Souls genre.
Yeah. So the Souls series, Elden Ring,
Bloodborne,
Sekiro, these essentially completely brutal, mash you into fucking dust. You are shit unless you keep on trying, and if you keep trying, you will die. It literally, like, you've probably seen the screen. You died, or you have died at least a million times before you get past the tutorial.
What is that Deer anime? The comedy one, the Deer Girl anime.
What, Nokotan?
Yeah.
Nokotan.
And in the OP intro sequence, they had a reference of Dark Souls. That's how big this is, okay?
Yes. So a lot of people are in the gaming industry, particularly fans of Elden Ring and that ilk, right? They're worried about the future of gaming, because I think for them, it's a lot of fans, hardcore fans of this particular genre of games. If Sony was to purchase the company itself and have control over how games are produced and syndicated, they fear that future releases of these types of games may become platform exclusive.
Yeah, not just that, but actually, From Software also did Armored Core, but actually, the other thing is, there's more than From Software, so I did some quick digging. There is another subsidiary of Kadokawa that is a game developer called Spike Chunsoft. Have you heard of them, Will?
Yep.
So you'll be like, who the fuck are they? Well, they're a merger between Spike and Chunsoft. Okay, you're like, all right, what have they done?
So Spike and Chunsoft actually is under another subsidiary of Kadokawa, Dwango.
I swear, like, some fucking lawyer is like, it's like mapping out, like, Charlie Day, like Sunny in Philadelphia. Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
Spike owns and develops the Danganronpa series, all of it.
Dragon Quest.
And Chunsoft developed the first 5 Dragon Quest games.
They also do like some of the Dragon Ball stuff. They do a lot of other like massive games that have come out of Japan, right?
Yeah.
So that's just one.
Right? We're just talking about video games and just 2 things right now.
Right. So understandably, of course, people within the gaming industry, or at least like within the gaming sphere, are rightfully worried, because they fear that more control over how games are produced and syndicated. Because again, remember that when it comes to games, especially there are games that are produced from Japan, censorship is an issue.
Yeah, and then if you go even a little bit further back, which obviously made a huge stir, what is Sony's big rival in the gaming sphere? Microsoft. And what have they done recently?
The same shit.
Well, Activision Blizzard, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, like, was it Activision Blizzard King, right?
Yeah.
Technically. So it's like Candy Crush as well. Well, guess what? They went through a huge merger of all Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King. And it is like, even like the UK tried to stop it. They went through a lot of legalese issues, but in the end, they prevailed, and they now own. Microsoft now owns Activision Blizzard. So if you think about,
everybody fucking hated it, and they still hate it.
yeah, and like what, they fired a shit ton of people. They canceled a lot of projects because that's what you do. You slim down, you restructure, you trim the fat, and then you go, okay, that's what Microsoft is doing. So if you're Sony, right, you're sitting like across the pond. You're like, yo, they're doing all this. We better fucking get on this shit too. Because I think there was some discussion of them buying Bungie. I think they did buy Bungie. Did they buy Bungie?
What, Sony?
Yeah.
What? That would be... How would that be possible? Why would they let that happen? But then again, there are, of course, hostile takeovers. These things do happen where, like, if you have the financial front to be able to just go and bully
Sony,
people.
Parent company, used to be Microsoft Game Studios from 2000 and 2007, but Sony Interactive Entertainment is from 2022 to present.
Okay.
They have made such games as Destiny recently, obviously, and obviously in the past they made the Halo series. So it's like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah. So this is where you start seeing, like, where the issue lies now, right? Where you have, I mean, again,
no, we're only talking about video games, by the way.
Right?
We'll get to anime and manga, okay?
With Microsoft, with Sony, and in some way with Nintendo as well, there really is nothing else you can do other than going independent or hopefully being bought out by one of these big conglomerates.
Yeah, because it's a cash out exit strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for all these, it's undeniable fact that right now everyone is struggling in the recession. People are like, trying to make ends meet. Some are doing more better than others, but everyone is suffering a little bit. So when you're the owner of a company and you
see a way out,
yeah,
right? You're gonna go for the exit.
Yeah, and if it's just an easy way out, like, here, I'll just offer you a shit ton of cash up front. All you have to do is sign on the dotted line, and we'll take care of everything. Don't worry. Trust us. We have so much experience with so much other resources, man.
Here are 2 one-way first-class tickets to Bali, to
the Bahamas.
Barbados, wherever you want to go.
Do you like Fire Festival? Do you like Pablo Escobar's island? Anyways.
Yeah, let's not bring up that guy.
Let's not bring up that guy. Anyways,
what is the point here?
The point is Kadokawa is fucking huge.
Yeah.
And, of course, when you think of Kadokawa, the reason why we haven't mentioned anime and manga yet is because that's the obvious path, right? That's the one that everyone gravitates to if you're into anime and manga, because that's the easy thing. The other thing is, like, you look at all the other subsidiaries, such as From Software, Spike Chunsoft, and you're like, oh, wait. This is bigger than you thought.
Yep.
Than we thought.
This is just straight up ripped out from Wikipedia. Kadokawa brings together a lot of different affiliated Japanese companies, and it's kind of broken down into 3 main areas: publishing, film and visuals, as well as cross-media. So publishing on that side deals with like paperbacks, books, magazines, and manga. Excuse me. The film and visual companies deal with films, DVD sales, and the cross-media side deals with digital content, program information magazines, as well as sort of combining different information transmissions through paper media, mobile phones, and the internet. They also do have other small businesses, but those are the main 3.
Right. So they have the main 3, the big 3, but like what's the big deal?
Well, if we just look at the publication side, they own Bookwalker, which also runs Geeks Plus.
Yes.
They have Chobunsha Publishing, Comic Walker, Kadokawa Future Publishing, which under that has ASCII Media Works. They have Media Factory, Kadokawa Shoten. Those are just to name a few. Okay.
Yeah. Then to go off of some of the ones that you've heard us like reiterate time and time again, J Novel Club and Yen Press, they also, I don't think they own it wholesale, but they own a major stake in it, or at least a sizable chunk of it.
Yeah. We've already gone over the group media side, which is like Dwango, Spike Chunsoft, but they also own Nico Nico, which is another Japanese streaming platform.
Yeah. Think of it for our Chinese listeners, it's Billy, but in Japan, essentially. And the other thing is also, let's not forget, some of the most hype shows is done by some studios such as Kadokawa that is owned by Kadokawa.
NG is under them as well. Kimena Citrus is under them as well. They've been looking into acquiring more studios as well. Now, what was really funny for me was that when I was looking at this, I actually got the news broken to me through Anime News Network. And
I know you say it. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Anime News Network is owned by the parent company, which is owned by by Sony.
So listen, we always use Anime News Network. Shout out to you guys. But it's always funny when in the same article of you talking about this acquisition or this possible rumor, you have a disclosure at the very bottom, and I'm going to read it word for word, okay? Not throwing shade, I'm just stating facts. Kadokawa World Entertainment, KWE, a wholly owned subsidiary of Kadokawa Corporation, is the majority owner of Anime News Network, LLC. One or more of the companies mentioned in this article are part of the Kadokawa group of companies. So even Anime News Network has to be like, yo, imagine ESPN and being like, listen, DraftKings has a major stake in the NFL and all that stuff. It's just like, guys, everyone is in on it. Everyone is like, it's like Japanese, stepbrother, stepsister, I don't want to say it.
It's pretty much the I word.
Yeah.
So I do want to go into a little bit more conspiratorial shit later on, but let's actually talk about the implications of this acquisition.
No, but we haven't talked about Sony. I know that's the very obvious part, but we already mentioned parts of it, which is the big major talking points of why Sony is crazy is because they own Aniplex and Crunchyroll. Yep. And obviously Aniplex, if you break it down, A1 Pictures, Cloverworks, all blah, 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 blah. And then Crunchyroll, obviously, with its, several years ago, a merger with Funimation. So really, it is insane.
Yeah, and this is why we need to discuss the implications of this acquisition going through.
Exactly.
Because if you think about the fact that they already own Crunchyroll, right?
Mm-hmm.
They also already own Aniplex, which owns a bunch of studios underneath it, which also has a lot of different music studios and music production companies under that flag, meaning that they already have an ecosystem for them to be able to produce anime, source talent, find directors to be able to work on set anime, and also have a platform for them to host it on. Not to mention, there is also a Crunchyroll app on PlayStation, which means you have a fully cyclical fucking environment for you to just watch your anime through everything that touches Sony, at least on one level.
Well, it's all in the family.
Yeah. So that's already kind of crazy for people to think, oh, fuck. Okay. But I mean, hey, Crunchyroll is great. And a PlayStation is, of course, expensive. It's still expensive, but you can play games on it. You can watch your anime. You can watch. You can even watch other forms of media on it. So Sony makes good stuff. They have good technologies. What's really so bad about having all it? It becomes a bit more dystopian once you factor in that once Kadokawa is under their roof, that they're handling and controlling NG, Kinana Citrus, A1 Pictures, what was the other?
Chizu?
Not Chizu. Yes, Chizu as well. But also, what was the other studio they had? Shit, it was the first one they had. Dogokobo. Yes.
Yeah.
So, we've already seen loads. I mean, we've seen loads of companies do the same thing.
Yeah, let me just give you an exact, as you said, Will, the through line, right, with the Sony, PlayStation, Crunchyroll. Let me just give you the Kadokawa version. So, we own J Novel Club, which is a lot of light novels. There is this isekai light novel called What If Good Anime Palette Podcast got isekai'd into another world and becomes the most dominant force ever. Okay.
So light novel, right? We should definitely make a manga adaptation for it.
Right, so let's find Yen Press. Because, they know their stuff and they're just right next door. But
hey, look, it's been made in Japan so far. We need it in English too.
Well, don't worry, we got Bookwalker.
And then you also Geeks Plus underneath that as well, right?
Exactly. So then after that, you'll be like, okay, cool. We have the digital manga or the physical manga on lock. and the light novel on lock. What about
Let's make an anime.
Yeah, sure.
Let's
So
make,
who do
let's make a 12th episode, like one per anime.
with Doga Kobo?
Or maybe NG.
No, then let's get Hosoda from Chizu because he's a really visionary director. With Bell and everything, right?
We gotta get into music as well. Who's producing the music?
Wait, who is producing the music?
It's probably under Avex.
Okay, sure. And then we need to make a video game.
Then of course you From Software, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then you go, hey, but big bro Sony might be coming down to help us out, and then shit hits the fan, guys. So, actually, Will, is it fair to say that the ramifications of this is quite obvious?
Yep.
But it's obvious. But what is less obvious is how massive and how shaken the industry is. And I don't say that word lightly, because everyone from Reuters to Forbes to Reddit anime forums to My Anime List to Anime News Network forums are all freaking the fuck out. Whilst at the same time, this thing is like maybe happening or not. And when you look at what happened with Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King, it is not hard to envision that like there's some Sony exec that's like, we need to buy some stuff, guys.
Yep. So there could be there could be a world where this doesn't happen, and that's the Japanese government stepping in, because there is grounds for this being a violation of antitrust trust laws.
Yeah, so antitrust, for those who are unaware, is essentially, for all you need to know, is it's to block monopolies, duopolies, essentially people having a stranglehold on a certain industry to prevent basically cyberpunk 2077 type bullshit, basically.
Where all your advertising, all your TV shows, all your games, and your mobile apps and all that fall under one parent company.
Isn't it like LVMH, basically?
Yeah, for fashion and
Yeah.
that sort of industry, right?
Yeah.
The-
Just Google LVMH and you'll know what I'm talking
the
about.
Arnault family.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't
Richest person in the world now.
Well, no, not well. Is he now?
Yeah.
I thought Elon was, because his Dogecoin stock just blew the fuck up.
Well,
I think it's still Elon.
richest person in the world. Let's see. Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yep. But Arnault's not far off, right?
No, he was at one point.
He was, yes.
Number one, and then I guess.
Well, it was probably because of the fact that like there was a lot of sort of rocky waters with like Tesla and like that that being leveraged to buy
Right.
Twitter.
Oh yeah, he's fifth now.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, damn right. He's still like a fucking multi-billionaire. Like that's not
No,
that's
no,
not
no.
cry
How
tears
many
for him.
billion? Guess right now.
Uh,
LVMH guy Bernard Arnault.
39 billion.
Wrong. Net worth is 177
Yeah,
billion.
there you go. Yeah. Okay.
I can't even imagine that kind of money, bro.
Yeah, you could be spending $1 million a day and you'd still be able to fucking like live off of that for the rest of your life. He's pretty old too. But back on the whole
Yeah.
Sony Kadokawa thing, right? With this, they've essentially strangled the means of production.
Mhm.
They've also been able to take over the means of distribution.
Oh yeah, I forgot to. Will, did you know that in May, Sony is like, listen, we want to support the
Yes.
anime industry,
Yes.
so
yeah.
we're gonna launch an anime academy. I was like, oh my god,
I remember this.
this is like, I'm fucking losing my mind, because essentially, from like a toddler level of experience to like a massive veteran of the industry, you have the whole supply chain, the whole process on lock, and it is so massively scary. And you might say, but what's wrong? What can be wrong about this? And the problem is not things will go wrong, but are you really going to put trust in one person?
It's not even just that. It's the fact that we've talked about production committees a while back.
Yes,
Right.
One of our most popular episodes. Yes,
and we've talked about
AD13.
how like these are made up of different representatives from different industries to be able to sort of come together, pool money, and be able to produce a product.
Yeah.
Well, what happens when those different companies and those different representatives all come from the same roof, where you just have someone from Aniplex, from Kadokawa, from Yen Press, from another company, from Nico Nico and whatever, all coming together and making something, and you find out it's all the same person.
Yeah.
Illuminati right there. You know?
No, but it's also like, okay, so what is wrong? Well, what's wrong is it doesn't breed competition. So, and usually when there is competition, people try their best to innovate, to stand out, to make a mark on themselves. When everything is in-house, when everything is your own home team, you can kind of take the piss and be lazy, and no one can do anything about it, because if you have a stranglehold on everything, there's no other choice you can gravitate to. And anyone who tries to make them out like, oh, let's start our own streaming platform, yeah, good luck going against Crunchyroll with like our measly little presence, right?
Yeah, there's two things that are going to happen, right? You grow big enough that you get bought out, or
By Sony.
or you get basically choked out and let the blood bleed dry.
Yeah. So in that scenario, there's literally nothing people can do. You could say in like an ideal naive world, like, hey, they have so many resources, they have everything under their control, so then they can like maximize productivity and efficiency. And you're not wrong in a way when you say that, but come on, that's not how the real world works, okay?
Yeah, I mean, like, you've also probably seen like the recent news of Google being like subject
Oh,
to
you
a
want
lot of,
Chrome?
Yeah.
You have Chrome? Well, guess what? You can't have Chrome anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you want Google search? Oh, I guess that's gonna go away too, right? Like, so there's obviously like two sides of the coin. There's going to be people that are like, well, they rightfully own these things if they have the financial means to do so. So therefore, they should go ahead and be able to purchase and acquire whatever companies you'd like, right? If it means to grow their business, to grow their catalog, I don't see any reason why not to do it. And then the other side, bro, it just means that there's less and less of your companies that are able to actually create their own shit without having to go through the overlord. I'm not going to say overlord, but the main
which is
company.
hilarious because
Yeah.
Kadokawa owns Overlord, so it just was like, I can't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're not sort of saying that like all the anime is going to be the same, right? But at the same time, it has the potential to.
Yeah. And at the same time, what can you do about it? Well, we can only stand on the sidelines and watch things unfold, right? And okay, here's another thing I just Googled. So this is going to be like a live news update as I do some research. Sony already has a 2% stake in Kadokawa and from its subsidiary From Software. So they already have like their way in the door. And the thing is, Will, how do you think it's going to get played out? Let me ask you just straight up right now. Do you think it's going to happen?
It will probably be like the Activision Blizzard situation in that it will be very drawn out. There'll be a lot of lawyers involved. There'll be a lot of back and forth between the two sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then come June 2025, it's going to happen.
Right. There is another, I guess you could say, slight variation of that, which is they might fragment it, which is what a lot of monopolies or a lot of these mergers do, which is, okay, 80% of it you can have, but like this section, like for example, I don't know, From Software, for example. I mean, I'm just spitting. No, they actually want From Software, so it'll probably be like, I don't know, like some subsidiary of significance, but not like dramatic. So let's say they own Bookwalker, they own Yen Press, and then they own J Novel Club. So maybe J Novel Club and Yen Press comes out and are not part of Kadokawa, but part of like Kadokawa Light Incorporated or something.
It could be like a wholly owned like subsidiary. It could be independently run but still under the same Sony umbrella.
Yeah,
kind of
and
structure.
You know full fucking well that even if it's independently owned, it's like we're still buddies.
Yes.
So it's almost like it doesn't matter.
No, it's Sony saying we're allowing you to be independent, but you break one straw on my back. Oh, we're shutting you down, or we're bringing you home.
Yeah, or it's like, hey, let's send cousin over there, and
Geeks Plus just busts the door and is like, "What are you doing, cousin?"
Yeah, yeah. What are you doing, big bro?
Yeah. So there actually is another side to this because now people are just thinking, oh, it's just Sony coming in with their big bucks and they're just bullying the industry and taking everything. Well, there's actually been murmurs that this was not necessarily all Sony's doing, in that actually Kadokawa had reached out to Sony with the potential of an acquisition of their company.
So, explain, Will.
So, if people didn't know, you will fucking know now. Kadokawa is not just fully owned on its own. It has shareholders, it has people who own parts of the company, whether it is through shares, whether it's through companies that work under the Kadokawa umbrella.
It's publicly listed, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you can technically own part of Kadokawa too.
you could if you had the means to. Obviously,
Yes.
I'm not going to walk over with like $100,000 and be like, I'm going to buy a share. No, they're not going to take my money, but they will take the money of a South Korean conglomerate, Kakao. Now,
What?
yes. Now, slowly but surely, Kakao actually has been buying out stocks and shares of Kadokawa to the point where they actually own a decent amount of the company. Now, Kakao itself, Kakao and Kadokawa is going to be a bit of a mouthful.
Cacao sounds like that coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Well, basically the bean to make chocolate and all
exactly,
that, right?
yeah.
So, Kakao, unlike Sony and Kadokawa, is from South Korea, right?
Yep.
Their core business itself is Kakao Talk, which is a messaging app used both on iOS, Android, in their home country. But it's not just a messaging app that they run. Their scope of business includes online banking, transportation, e-commerce, and of course entertainment. And within Kakao Entertainment, they make movies, shows, and yes, they also produce K-pop. They also own the original Webtoon platform. So you can kind of see that they have another stranglehold in South Korea in the same way that a lot of these Japanese media companies do. Now, Kakao doesn't necessarily have the best of reputations. They've had a situation where their founder was embroiled in a gambling scandal when it launched just earlier this year. They were also accused of stock manipulation with regards to a hostile takeover of SM Entertainment, which is one of the biggest K-pop companies in the world. So you can see that, like, with the kind of controversy that surrounds Kakao, not to mention, it would be, I don't think I need to explain why it'd be so crazy for Kadokawa, a Japanese company, to be owned by a South Korean company. I don't need to spell that shit out for you. That's just not a good situation for anybody involved. And so, in order for that to not happen, it's been rumored that Kadokawa went up to the Sony execs and said, buy us out, or else we will be bought out by Kakao.
I see. Okay. So, by the way, what you're saying is a little bit of a tinfoil hat speculation, right? I mean, you could see the through line, you could see the logic, but there is no direct proof.
No,
right?
No, there's not.
But it is easy to see the logic and rationale behind what you're saying, right? Like the events unfolding as you describe, right? I just realized did you know there's a... Oh, sorry, I dropped my bottle. Did you know there's Kadokawa Hong Kong?
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I'm looking through all of the subsidiaries of Kadokawa, and it is the list is so massive. Oh, by the way, whoever decided to buy From Software and Kadokawa, shout out to you who got 69.66%. I see what you did there, guys. But anyways, the point that I'm trying to make, and I think the point that Will is trying to make, is this massive shakeup.
Yeah. Oh, actually, I should also mention as well, it wasn't just Kakao that was involved, too. There were also rumors that there was another company that could have bought out Kadokawa. Tencent.
Okay.
Right.
So then that's... Okay, for those who don't know, hopefully you do, Tencent is
The reason why Jason is so loved by his family.
Yes. Okay, I won't tell why. Anyways, the point was Tencent is essentially is probably actually the only video game conglomerate in China, and they own a lot of things such as, I think, the Unreal Engine Epic Game Studios. They own Riot.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously Riot is huge in of itself with League of Legends.
I think that's enough, right?
Yeah, that's enough, but actually they own way more of a lot of different things.
Yes. So the reason why I brought that up as well is because recently Japan actually passed a new law that enabled and no longer blocked hostile takeovers of Japanese companies. So it lays out guidelines for the satisfaction of this potential takeover to happen. But due to these new laws, Japanese companies like 7-Eleven, for example, massive fucking convenience store conglomerate, right?
Yep.
They're now vulnerable to being taken over by foreign owners. So things like Nintendo, Square Enix, Sega are also susceptible to being taken over.
What if
someone
someone bought Sony? Would be hilarious to me.
yeah, that could happen. Look, if Disney did that, that in a world could totally happen, right? Look, what was to stop Elon from fucking leveraging Tesla to buy Twitter? Nobody stopped it, right?
Was it like 54 billion or something?
So 48 plus, yeah. By the way, a lot of this news was actually sort of brought to me. This rumor actually was posted through gamerranks.com. I fucking love gamerranks. So if I ever get any gaming news, it's usually through them. But this is what I mean in terms of this sort of enabling of hostile takeovers from foreign companies. I'm not trying to make hostilities and trying to maintain like the bloodline of Japan and whatnot. That's not what I'm going with. But you can imagine that a Japanese company probably does not want to be foreign owned. Therefore, if you're caught between a rock and a hard place and that rock is a foreign company taking over your shit, you're going to go to the next worst thing, which is let's just get bought out by a big bro or a big sis in Japan and go to Sony.
Because to a certain extent, there is a little bit of like country pride and, you know, like geopolitical intervention. Because as you might say, you as like, let's say a Japanese company, you know, very steeped in the Japanese way, very, you know, value oriented. And, you know, even with like your way of doing things, right? You obviously would prefer someone who has this, or not someone, someone who has the same mindset or even the same home turf as you.
Not to mention as well, I don't think either of us need to explain, you know, due to historical and social cultural reasons, why a Japanese company would not want to be taken over by a South Korean, or Chinese company.
And just take a look at a certain nuisance streamer that decided to make a mark for himself in Korea lately.
I hope he goes to jail. It was really funny. I think nobody. I don't need to say his name, but what was really funny was in Japan, he's like, "Oh, you broke the law. Get out of our country." And in South Korea, I was like, "You broke the law.
Don't leave.
You're not leaving.
Yeah,
you're staying." And he's like, "Oh, I fucked up."
No, but the reason why I mentioned this nuisance streamer was, and again, unnamed because we're just stating facts here. One of the controversies, or the many controversies that this person has done in Korea, kind of tells you about how they feel about the Japanese history, right? And so when you think about that, and then you kind of extrapolate that even further, you can kind of see the through line of at least the old hats in Kadokawa being like, I don't know, guys. Like, yeah. My mind is like the lesser of two evils. Or actually, they might not even think Sony is evil. They might be like, yo, just help us out.
I think it also didn't help that, you know, the South Korean company Kakao had recently been embroiled in some tax manipulation scandals. Yeah. So I think that's the last thing you want, to be bought out by a company that is going through with such a scandal.
Yeah, and look, no one is clean and innocent and happy here. Actually, I don't know, maybe some people being bought out is happy because they get a payout.
If you have Kadokawa stock, you're fucking happy. You almost doubled your money.
But no, like literally, guys, the Kadokawa stock just shot up.
I think it's also just the fact that, like, would you say the Kadokawa might be struggling in this sense? The fact that, like, they've been able to have these potential hostile takeovers happening in terms of foreign companies coming in, like Kakao, and buying out some of their shares, and slowly but surely gaining, you know, from minority to majority ownership of the company.
So here's the thing that I'm not too sure of, because I'm not very familiar with Japanese law, nor would anyone generally be. But if, for example, an American company is publicly listed, or even a Hong Kong company is listed on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, you have a responsibility, as a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders, even being average everyday people who buy your stock, to reveal things like earnings reports, to reveal things like investor calls that literally anyone can participate and listen in on.
AGMs and all that.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, sure, you're not going to be able to say anything because you don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but you can listen in, you can, like, learn stuff, you can hear what they're talking about.
Or they might report what dividends get paid out.
Exactly, and then you earn some bank. But the point is, I don't know if Japan has the same rules.
They probably do. I mean, like, they always list, I mean, like, the fact that they list out, like, fiscal reports on a pretty regular basis.
So can we get Kadokawa's fiscal report?
You might have to look for it. I'm not going to go around doing that. But I would imagine, I mean, especially when you think about how manga, light novel, I mean, just publishing in general has been doing, right? And if you think Kadokawa, I think anybody that even knows like a sliver of Kadokawa, you would just think manga immediately, right? That's the first thing. There you go. Right. Net sales
right.
are the best top 10 selling titles under Kadokawa.
So this is the Will and I are now looking at an infographic of Kadokawa's financial report for the fiscal year 2023-2024.
This was published in April of this year.
Yep. So it's April. So let's see. Actually, this is not really helpful. Actually, it's just how much money we earn, right?
Yeah, but what it does say, of course, is the amount of copies that have been sold. Of course, Oshinoko being number one, Eminence in Shadow being second. So in terms of like, I mean, this is not just from like publishing manga. This is like a combination of like the IP creation segment through books and magazines, through licensing, from animation, from gaming and such. Let's just say, for example, like Mushoku Tensei, Oshinoko, My Happy Marriage, Those in Dungeon, all those are doing really swell, right? But those are not necessarily like Sony numbers either, right?
No, they're not. Like, what, 3,000 million yen? I mean, obviously,
it's 3 billion yen. That'd be about three. Oh, that's it. That's even less because the yen's been weakened.
Yeah. So look, the point that look, Will and I are kind of like a little bit all over the place, but it's just because not only is this episode a little bit on the fly, done off the cuff, but there's so much speculation because there really isn't much that you can say other than is it happening or not is really the main thing. And then the ramifications of if it's happening or not is essentially the only thing that everyone can only do at this moment, right?
I mean, like we can only speculate, but these speculations are also not coming from just random shower thoughts. These are very much things that have been happening over the past couple of years, and more developed now in the past week.
I mean, we're fucking talking about Reuters that broke the news. Reuters is like a very reputable, nothing to scoff at, and obviously now it is obviously true because several days later, Kadokawa came out and said, "Yeah, guys, it's kind of happening, but don't worry, nothing yet." So, and obviously everyone under the sun is freaking out about it, and maybe as an anime and manga consumer and a listener of the Good Anime Palette podcast, welcome, by the way, thank you for being a part of our family, you may not think that, like, hey, this is going to change my life. This is not something that is going to fuck me up in terms. I just care about my little corner.
Well, let's
all I care about anime and manga.
Let's spend the next 10-20 minutes actually talking about what could potentially happen to the anime and manga landscape.
Let's do, because this is an anime and manga podcast after all, right? So like,
this is huge.
Yeah,
in the sense that one thing that I'm very, very certain of, and like I'm sure everybody listening to this will know, the price of subscription to Crunchyroll will increase.
Yes.
It's only going to increase.
It has already increased, by the way. So,
every year they're going to add an extra 90 cents onto it, maybe extra $2. If you're in regions that are less represented, hey, good fucking luck. That $10 subscription might actually be $20 for you.
Oh, and by the way, we have now 5 new tiers. Do you like some ads? Do you like more ads? Do you like all ads?
Do you like only ads?
Yeah, exactly. All ads, right? An all ads feature. That's free.
Yeah. So, and also we're going to limit your bit rate. This is the other thing that's actually really crazy as well. This is actually something I found out through Netflix. So if you watch Netflix on your computer and you watch it through like Chrome or Firefox or any browser, and you're subscribed to maybe the 1080p plan, or you're subscribed to the 4K plan, your bit rate is actually capped at 720p. They actually have a program within Netflix where you can actually see what resolution your viewing bitrate is. Now, if you were to watch Netflix through a dedicated Netflix app, say for example you downloaded the app off of your smart TV, you downloaded it off of
your iPad,
or like the Sony store or whatnot, they will give you the resolution up to whatever subscription plan you have.
No, you don't even need to do that. They can just make up the fucking rules. They can just do whatever they want. They can even have a super HD tier, which I think they do for Netflix, right? They have like a Dolby surround sound tier that is
Spatial X, whatever it is.
Or like, hey, listen, you like 4K, right? You hear that all the time. But your plan right now is the normal plan. You want the premium plan where it's 2K, but it's not 4K, right? So you need the ultra plan, which is 4K.
But again, you still need to watch all these shows through our ecosystem.
Yep.
If you were to use Chrome or Firefox or Edge or whatever browser you want, we're capping your bitrate. I actually found that through this YouTuber, Louis Rossman. By the way, if you check him out, really fucking good. And he fucking hates these kinds of things going down. So
I don't really think anybody likes it, really.
Yeah, no, but this guy's like, you know, when it's like the monetization thing where you don't swear the first minute or two. So no, he's just full like fuck you, and fuck you. It's just it's beautiful.
Or like how some of the people, if you've noticed, here's like an insider baseball on YouTube. I think it is 7.5 minutes or 8 minutes. So you might notice that certain videos are all of them are of a certain length, and I think the threshold is like 7.5 or 8 minutes. And the reason is because you can have mid rolls, right? If you meet that threshold, so everyone just meets the bare minimum. So then they're able to add mid rolls, which is basically ads inside, and it dramatically increases their revenue.
Yeah, there's definitely ways to be able to maximize your earning and your AdSense for YouTube. But this is just YouTube, right?
Yeah.
So that was the Netflix example I gave, in which if you watched everything through their ecosystem, you get everything as long as you pay for it, right? But if you don't, then we're capping you. What's to stop Crunchyroll from doing that? Where Crunchyroll, being owned by Sony, which also owns PlayStation, hey, we're going to need you to download the app through the Google Play Store, or we're going to need you to download the app through the PlayStation Store.
I'll do you one fucking better. Let's say that Sony now owns Kadokawa. Let's just say, right? For argument's sake, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. In a world where the acquisition's gone through.
Let's say you also own a Google Pixel phone.
Yeah.
But you don't own a Sony Ericsson phone.
It's just Sony now. The Ericsson left.
No, I know, but okay.
Wow, we're going back to the 2000s.
Yeah.
But okay, right.
So, do you want me to mention Walkman now?
Yeah, why not?
MD? Mini discs? I love mini discs.
They're bringing those back. Well, they're bringing tape players and Walkmans back.
Why? Is it because it's retro?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why kids are now using those old digital cameras and shit.
Because it's vintage.
Yes.
So, okay. So
which is kind of crazy.
Right. But anyway, so going back to my example, what happens if you are not buying our phones, as in you're not buying Sony's phones? So
they're shit.
Well, yeah.
I'm sorry. Sony phones are not great. They're really good if you only care about one thing, and that's taking photos. But I would like my phone to be a phone. You know?
I mean, and then it's like, well, I'll own an Apple. I mean, I own an Apple iPhone, so it's like, okay, well, it's like one corporation for another corporation, but okay. It's just massive ramifications and a lot of things that might happen and a lot of things that very likely will happen if you look at history and look at other mergers and how they do.
The increase of paywalls, those paywalls becoming more expensive as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically streamlining your way to paying your money to one area only.
And there's literally nothing you can do about it. Or you don't play ball. Essentially, don't have it then. Tough shit.
There are people that don't do that.
Exactly. I get that.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't want to have to say it, but like it's very clear there's a reason why piracy still exists.
Yes. And for anime, it also has like a very weird upbringing, right?
Yeah.
Because Crunchyroll I'm not going to say that, but
we've already talked about
we'll
say it again.
There is a little bit of piracy element that kick-started what now is known as Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
So it is just the most ironic, the most cyclical kind of let's Ouroboros type of bullshit.
It's like Crunchyroll walking back to its town that it was brought, and it's like, oh, look who came crawling back. Oh, this little uppity fucking downtown guy. Oh, too good for us now. That's what Crunchyroll's become.
And then it's like, oh, I'm gonna buy this whole village that fucked me over ages ago, or whatever. I don't know.
No, it's just like, oh, I don't care. I don't give a shit about you guys anymore. I'm my own guy. You know what?
Going home.
You work for me now, right? But that's the reality that we face.
Yeah.
That things have gotten way more expensive than when they first started. I mean, the fact that like things like Netflix and Crunchyroll, well, maybe not Crunchyroll, but Netflix, right? Or streaming platforms in general, were there to break up the cable TV monopoly, and that you didn't want to just have to pay money for things you didn't want.
Yeah,
and
because there's 400 channels, right? You don't watch all 400 channels.
Oh, I just want to watch the NFL. Oh, but that's part of the sports package. You can't just buy NFL. You have to buy the
ESPN 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah, so you can watch, your flag football. You can watch your horse
Dodgeball.
racing. You can watch dodgeball. You can watch people throwing hockey pucks into your asshole.
No, but in Spain.
ESPN, the Ocho.
Yeah, the Ocho. I was going to say the Ocho. Thank
Yeah.
you. It's hilarious. Okay,
Right?
so
Netflix started with that, right? But over time, they started increasing their prices and then realizing that, you know what, maybe we don't just add more money to our subscriptions. We also bring a brand new tier of advertising. It's like, wait, didn't you start a streaming platform so we wouldn't have ads? Now you're actually bringing ads to your streaming platforms? Like,
and guess what? There's nothing you can do about it. Either that or you don't go onto our platform. And if you try to pirate it, which obviously some people would at that point, well, you're technically doing something illegal, and we're going to chase after you if, we catch you, whatever, right? So, okay, you might go, okay, Jason, you just talked about money and ads. Okay, big whoop.
I have loads of money. I have all the subscriptions.
And I love ads.
I have Peacock. I have HBO Max. I have Crunchyroll Max.
I have Paramount Plus. I have High Dive. I have Disney Plus, right? So who the fuck gives a shit? Well, you like anime, right? You like manga, right? That's why
Otherwise you wouldn't be here.
Right. What happens when Kadokawa is like, listen, Doga Kobo, I know you're a really good studio. You're just hot off the heels of Oshinoko Season 2. But we really need to get this light novel of I am a girl secretary and now I am running hell in another world. I'm just making shit up.
I was a clerk at Kadokawa and now I run Sony.
In another timeline, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. So it's like, but then Doga Kobo's like, well, I kind of want to make more Oshinoko, or I kind of want to make this interesting project.
What's that? No. You're going to make Dragon Quest 27 the animation, and we're going to give. We'll take Oshinoko from you. It's all good. Enji, come over. You want to work on this? We don't have enough people. Too bad. Here's a little bit of money. You can hire some third-party people. Go ahead and do it. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
we have a subsidiary in Shanghai and Hong Kong and Taiwan and whatever.
So
Vietnam.
we're gonna do. Hey, don't talk to me. Talk to Aniplex. Aniplex will sort you out. But that's A1. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, literally, that is probably what's going to happen if like a scenario like that were to occur, right?
Now, we're not saying that there is a transition, a handover of Oshinoko. That's not what we're saying. We're saying there is a realm of possibility for this shit to happen.
Yeah, and again, the studios that are under the umbrella and the conglomerate might have less creative freedom because literally they have to listen to their parents. They have to listen to their sister, brother company, right? The mother company. And that will obviously affect the anime and manga that you watch. Or how about this? This really popular manga adaptation or this really popular light novel is only available on Bookwalker. Tough shit. You can't buy it on Amazon Kindle. You can't buy it on, what other online platforms are there? For like light novels and mangas. So Amazon Kindle, that's about it, right?
Who owns Comixology?
Amazon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Anyways. Right. So, yeah. You can't buy it on Amazon Kindle anymore because it's only available exclusively on Bookwalker.
What do you think is going to happen to anime originals?
What's gonna happen to anime originals is what's always been happening to anime originals, which is we will never see any of it.
Well, we have seen a few, right? You know, like Jellyfish.
Yes.
Girls Don't Cry.
Yes.
But those are
but okay, look, Girls Band Cry, which is all
Girls Band Cry. Yeah.
Is really interesting because it got massively popular and now there's an English dub and English release, but also because it has music going for it. If it doesn't have music going for it, I would say then it kind of loses its shine, at least from like a conglomerate, corporation standpoint, right? And it's just like, I don't know. There's just no.
Yeah. Jellyfish is produced by Kadokawa.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. But Girls Band Cry is Toei.
Yeah.
But licensed by Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
There you go. Right.
Yep. Exactly.
I think we're painting a pretty clear picture of like what's going to happen to the anime landscape. In that, like, anime originals will probably still happen, but it will definitely happen under the guise of Sony and the people that they put in place to watch over it. The other thing that's going to happen is that with the new games division that's coming up, we're probably going to be seeing a Dark Souls anime.
I mean, and there already is a Dark Souls manga.
Yeah, like what's
Oh no, sorry, Elden
what
Ring.
people have been saying on r/anime recently, at least people who have been going to Japan on trips and stuff, is that there is a Disney animation coming out called Twisted Wonderland. Which is a mobile game produced by Disney, and now they're making an animation for it as well. And people are like, "Oh, what's this about?" They're really heavily pushing it. They're really trying to get. This thing.
Right, it's the boy band one. I know the manga. There's a manga for it. Yeah.
So what's to stop them from doing like a multimedia project of whatever properties they have under the Sony umbrella, which they probably already do. Right? They're gonna be doing this because they have the resources and they have the IPs for it.
Dude, this gives me like Visual Prison vibes.
It pretty much is. It's pretty much Visual Prism.
Anyways, okay, so yeah, there's nothing stopping. There's nothing stopping you. As in the conglomerate, right?
Do you feel that this but then I mean, like, we already talked about like the lack of competitiveness within the market and all that, right? Do you feel that this would then sort of detract from the quality of anime?
If we go by historically speaking, you get a varied amount, right? And that sounds like a cop-out answer, but let me elaborate. You will, in my opinion, I think in general, if you look at history, the quality of any product after it being, acquired by another company will always decrease, or at the very least change as the way that you see it or the way that you consume it. Then there will very likely always will be this weird maverick of a studio that the subsidiary owns that kind of does its own creative thing, and then everyone gravitates towards that because everything else is very generic trash, so that everyone loves that thing, and then they don't realize that that thing is obviously owned by the same thing. And then you might get a band of maybe outsiders that, hey, we really hate the industry the way it's going, so we're going to make the game that we want and the game that you want. And then they get really big, they get really successful, and then they get bought out. And then it rinse and repeat.
Yeah. And you're probably thinking, oh, but it's just Dogakobo, it's just A1, it's just NG and all that.
It's just Aniplex. It's not a big deal. It's just Crunchyroll. It's not a big deal.
But those are just a handful of production companies, right? What if, for example, then Bandai Namco or Hostile Takeover, Tencent come out and say, we want Ufotable.
Yeah.
Well, no, that can't happen. No, yes, it can. The new law just passed. I have the money. Here, take it.
Or you can stop me from legally buying it, right?
Yeah.
Like, and look. So, I'm like, I know, like, we're beating a dead horse here and trying to say how bad it is,
but it is bad. Look,
it is bad. 100% is bad.
What could potentially come out as good from this situation? Well, there's obviously going to be, more people that can work on more things. There's going to be a lot more collaborations between different companies to be able to produce new things. That's a potential good thing that could happen.
I'm like rolling my eyes at Will. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Right?
Maybe.
I mean, like, obviously, I don't see that.
I don't see that either, but it can happen, or at least some collaboration will happen, right? Like for example, like, what if, for example, Spy X Family, is Cloverworks and Wit Studio, right?
Yeah.
But maybe there is a collaboration between, I don't know, Dogakobo and A1.
Yeah, well, I mean, who owns the IP to Spy Family?
Wait, who does own?
It'd be
Shueisha, right?
It'd be Shueisha. And Shueisha itself is not under any attack or any hostile takeover potential yet, right?
Yet.
Well, they have that publication alliance between Kadokawa, Shueisha, and Kodansha.
Yeah, but hostile takeovers are called hostile for a reason.
Which also is under like the Shogakukan kind of like, yeah, it's fucking crazy in terms of like who owns who owns what.
And the reason why everything is so fragmented and it is so confusing is done deliberately. So then you can't really trace where things go, who belongs to what, or it looks on the surface that, oh, these are all different studios and different brands, but actually you didn't see the little text at the very bottom that says subsidiary of Sony Computer Entertainment or Sony Entertainment, right? It is just massively bad. Did you know that fucking, holy shit, Sony owns 5% of Madhouse?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that. That's hilarious.
Back in 2021, Kadokawa announced it formed a capital and business alliance with Tencent, where they acquired a 6.86% stake of the conglomerate for 30 billion yen. So, yeah, this was a way for Kadokawa to expand its reach into Tencent's platforms. So China would have been like a particular target for growth. Right?
Okay, so you might go, okay, Jason, I might not like the creative direction or the studio now pumping out generic shit, but at least I can get my slop, right? Well, remember very earlier on in this episode, Will mentioned a word called censorship. So the thing that it is, I'm not saying it will happen. There's a chance it won't. But when you are owned by another company who has a certain agenda, right? For example, and just bear with me here. Disney owns Marvel, owns Pixar, owns Star Wars, right? Lucasfilms, right? Disney is, for all intents and purposes, a very family-friendly, kid-friendly, well, you can say Disney adult-friendly corporation, right?
On the surface.
On the surface. So, in other words, are you going to get like a crazy R-rated or 18-plus Star Wars? Hell no.
I mean, you would with Deadpool, but that's because it's Deadpool.
Yeah. That's like an exception to the rule.
Exactly.
You will always get exceptions to the rules, but they're called exceptions for a reason because they are not the majority. You will, and because I mean, even when you asked me how the creative juice will flow, I literally said there will be that Maverick studio on the side to do its thing, to distract people, but also to do its thing so then everyone can do the generic shit. Everyone else can do the generic shit, right?
Yep.
So it's going to happen. But imagine Disney acquiring, a certain anime studio, and then that anime cannot be in its original intended purpose or cannot have a certain level of violence or nudity or whatever because it does not fit with the brand. It does not fit with the identity of Disney as a whole. And that can happen. And that has happened. So you might think, okay, but Disney is very kid-friendly. I get that. But Kadokawa Aniplex, they produce a ton of shit, right? But I'll be like, yeah, but there might be a lot of things that you are looking at right now and thinking that there was no censorship, or you thinking that there was no change. This was the perfect recreation as the creative director, as the storyboarder intended. But you don't know that for sure. Behind the scenes, things could have changed that you would never know until maybe 20, 30 years later, if you're lucky. If someone got drunk and decided to leak it, 30 years because statute of limitations doesn't matter anymore. It really can.
Yep.
The thing is, we don't even know the ramifications because maybe the thing that you watched has already been altered to a certain extent from what it was originally meant to be, which could also potentially be even better than what it was. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is when you look at the stratification, when you look at all of, like, the different pies, the different fingers that all of these large corporations go, one of the things that I think is really bad about large mergers and acquisitions is you don't know the damage or the extent or the control that other companies will have over the other companies because there's just no way for you to find out because it will never be revealed because it will never be public, or there's no way for you to know all of the moving parts of like this huge like clockwork machine. And that is the part that is immensely scary because when change happens, you can say change could be good or bad, but when change happens and disrupts the thing that you expect, it makes everyone nervous. And when we talk then into geopolitical situations of, well, do you want to be owned by a Korean company as a Japanese company, and then you going over to another Japanese company and be, hey, I'd rather be owned by you than be owned by them. Sure, it's a rumor, but you can at least see the through line, right? And you can at least see like the awkwardness it might be that kind of made this rumor even or speculation a very plausible one. And that's the part that I think everyone needs to like figure out, is that this shit can only breed uncertainty. And usually for me, when there's uncertainty, as a guy that is usually likes to play it safe, I get nervous. And I think everyone, literally everyone, from Reuters to Forbes to people on the forums to Japanese publications, are all like freaking the fuck out. And that's the part why everyone is freaking the fuck out, is because if you look at acquisitions, I'm sure some acquisitions are good. I'm not trying
or necessary.
Or necessary, because maybe like this acquisition, if it weren't for this acquisition, this service or this platform or this studio or this whatever would have been wiped off, period, and it would suck. And they needed a helping hand in order to survive. I get that. But look, this is not like Kadokawa is doing fine on its own.
The issue here is the fact that Kadokawa is a publicly listed company, which means that the owner itself does not fully own Kadokawa.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally owned by the public or owned by the masses, right? That's why you can actually buy a share of Kadokawa and say legally that you are part ownership of Kadokawa. Maybe it's like 0.00001%.
That's ownership still.
But legit, you can own it. That's the whole point of buying stocks. You own a part of the company. And if you have over 51,
you just have no sway in terms of directing the direction of the company.
Because you're not the majority shareholder, or you're not like the super majority, which is 51%. So it's just like the ramifications and like the behind the scenes workings is so massive and so unknown, hidden behind a veil, that the only thing that you can interpret is people behind veils usually are up to no good, because they wouldn't be hiding behind a veil. Or you're hoping that they're not doing anything bad, and you're just praying and hoping that they are doing things right. And usually when you have full control of everything, even me, if I'm lazy, I'm just going to be lazy. If I can still pump out the same output and still get the same, revenue, the same profit, the same reward, I'm not going to like purposely like try my hardest to like make something new or make something great. Because it is so easy to take the easy way out. And generally, when there's no ramifications, as human beings, we generally take the easy way out whenever we can.
So what can we do?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Because, okay, look, as much as we say publicly listed, you can own, a share in Kadokawa and say you own it. Well, as mentioned with the Tencent acquisition of like 6.86% of Kadokawa, came up to $286 million US. Now that's just 6.86%. If fucking Sony is coming in to acquire the whole damn thing.
How much was Crunchyroll?
Oh, that was billions.
Let me see.
That was I think big chunk of money.
1.175 billion, I think.
Yeah.
Let me see.
But this is between Sony and AT&T, right? And AT&T itself is also another conglomerate. So it's conglomerates talking to conglomerates.
Okay, it was 1.5 billion, but it decreased to 1 billion.
Okay, so just one, not billions, just billion.
Billion,
which is hey, that's still a lot of.
That's still
money.
A lot of fucking money, guys. All right, none of us have $1 billion.
We're not gonna be crowdfunding this and saving fucking Kadokawa. Okay,
we do an Indiegogo, we do a Kickstarter. Hey, I want to own Kadokawa. I need your help.
Yeah, if we got $1 from every single person on this earth, we still don't have enough money to go up against Sony.
We could buy Crunchyroll in essence, though. I mean, it's been bought out already, but we could have bought 8 Crunchyrolls.
I don't want to, because that means I'll have to fix their subtitles.
Yeah, and that also means then, like, we will have to change careers and probably not do the podcast anymore because it will be a liability, right?
No, you could still make JP a part of, Crunchyroll. Why not, right? Good Anime Podcast, brought to you by Crunchyroll.
Oh my god.
Because we bought Crunchyroll. Haha. No, we didn't.
No, we didn't.
So where does this leave things for the everyday anime manga fan?
So I think when it comes down to what someone can do, it actually has very much to do with the moral of the story for our AD13 with executive committees, which is the first thing that I think is important is people being aware and being knowledgeable about what this means, about the pros and the cons, again, more cons than pros in my opinion, of duopolies, monopolies, antitrust, obviously antitrust being a good thing, and just learning about mergers and acquisitions. I don't need you to be a lawyer. I don't need you to be like a business, an MBA, right? But you can at least understand the ramifications and the concepts of it, right? I think education is far and foremost like an important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really important for us to try to at least understand why these things happen, because if we just sat here and just said, oh, that's cool, I have my Crunchyroll, I have my Netflix, this is cool, I'll just watch whatever they give me, right? Just I pay the money to give me a service. That's the simple be all end all. And I wouldn't fault you for thinking that way, because as the everyday consumer, you seek for entertainment and convenience,
which includes us too, by the way.
Best bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to sort of really extrapolate that, you say it's the best bang for your buck because it's literally the only services you have to be able to watch anime.
Yeah. So, look, and then you might be, okay, so edutainment, education, what else? The other thing is also, if you can, I guess, is to vote with your wallet, vote with where your mouth is. Of course, you could then buy more stocks. I don't blame you for it. But you can also be like, well, I don't like it, what Netflix is doing, so I'm not going to subscribe to Netflix anymore. And when a lot of people do that, a lot of people did cut the cord with Netflix, and then that's why they disabled password sharing and all that stuff, which also, by the way, helped them skyrocket sales, by the way. So clearly, if you vote with your wallet, there will be ramifications for the company, because at the end of the day, a business is a business, and business only cares about one thing: money, revenue, profit, all that.
Yeah. Now, we're not going out and saying that you do a Crunchyroll strike and just cancel your subscriptions. We're not advocating for that.
You have the right to.
But at the same time, right, there's always change and there's always revolution, right? Yes, it can be stymied really easily because the fact that, like, your options are watch anime through Crunchyroll or don't watch anime through Crunchyroll. I think it's quite easy to say, I'd rather pay however much money it costs.
Yeah, and when you have disposable income, that is not an issue. But I will also say the third thing that you have to realize is, which is a long game, the long-term thing, which is everything now in terms of the litigation, the people that sit on the high chair, on the executive board or whatever that is actually literally involved in this acquisition are all old geezers. And they were once young, and we are young now. And eventually there will be someone who is into anime, or maybe not, that is alive today at this moment, that will be sitting in that chair years from now. And if you have the knowledge of all of these things, there is a chance, I don't know how high, I don't know how low, of you realizing the responsibility that you might one day have. And I think, you know how G.I. Joe is like knowing is half the battle?
Yeah.
I literally do think that in this case, that's all you can do, and that's all you should do. Because there really isn't much, and you will lose like sanity over freaking out about this. And who knows, maybe this merger will not happen, or it will happen but fragmented. Who knows? But it should be a lesson for everyone, or a wake-up call for everyone to know why this is not a good thing, and why this might be a stepping stone to like the end of the world.
Yeah, because it's not just anime fans freaking out over this too. Like, this was more broken because of people freaking out over what will happen to Elden Ring and the Souls series, especially with Dark Souls. They're getting a remaster in a couple of months for Dark Souls 3.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're doing some remasters for that shit now. Yeah.
But look, think about this. It was broken by Reuters. Reuters is like this business portal, business. Is it business magazine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Website. It's obviously a website.
Oh,
but
Business Insider?
Yeah. No, Reuters.
Reuters itself. Well, actually, Reuters is I think they're a Canadian news agency.
But regardless, right? This is the source that broke this news. The set off.
Oh, they're not Canadian, no.
Oh, okay.
No, they're on Canada Square.
The fuck does that mean?
It's in Canary Wharf in London.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But Reuters, in many ways, has nothing to do with anime, manga, Sony, video games, blah, blah, blah.
The Thomson Corporation of Canada actually acquired Reuters, and now that's why they have a media division called Thomson Reuters.
So where's it from?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It's not important to the story.
It's not important to the story. The point is, it is so massive of a news that Reuters, which in many ways should not have any connections with anime, manga, and video games, is reporting on this. It is also why everyone is freaking out. It needs to be said.
It's because they see through the smoke. They can
Yeah.
smell some antitrust going on.
Yeah. And when everyone picks it up and breaks the story as well, or like adds to the discussion, that's when everyone needs to pay attention. And at the end of the day, you might be like, oh, this is all for naught because we're not going to be able to stop it. Yeah, you're right. But it's important to at least know why. Yeah. I think that's important, right? Like, you can't stop history from repeating itself. You can't stop, like, everything happening when even though you can see the result from where you're standing. However, what I can say is just do your own due diligence.
Yeah,
it really
don't just sit there and doom scroll either. Don't just look at this and being like, everything sucks, everything is ruined.
I mean, you can have that mindset.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But it doesn't serve any benefit to anybody, especially your own mental health as well. If for example, if you are within the gaming industry and you're freaking out over what happens to the Soul series, what happens to Elden Ring and all that, right? It's not just for gaming, okay? Us anime fans and manga fans, we're with you on this too.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything else, Will, that you kind of want to cover about this merger acquisition, this news story? Because I think we kind of covered most of it already. I don't really know what else that we can say that will really, dramatically change the narrative of today's episode.
We're not moving no needles here. But we at least wanted to break our hiatus and come to you guys with this because
it's a big fucking deal.
It's a pretty scary precedent for what would happen to. I mean, the fact that like small gaming companies could be bought out, small production companies can be bought out. I mean, shit. We talked about fucking Science Saru, right? Them being bought out as well.
Yeah, sure. Look, Dan to Dan is doing fucking gangbusters right now. It is fucking dope ass adaptation, and is worthy of everyone's praise and attention. So there are exceptions to the rule where people can still make good things even though they're owned by a corporation. I'm not saying that won't happen.
Yes, but when it comes to the progression of strangulating the economy, strangulating the markets, being able to seize the means of production, and also then control how it's syndicated to you as well, you can't help but feel a bit dystopian about that.
What do you mean a bit? It is dystopian. It's like, it is dystopian. I don't know what else to say. It's just like there will be three corporations, the big three, that will own everything. So which of the big three do you belong, or which of you stand, or whatever?
All we can do is just pray and hope that if this does go through, that nothing comes out of it, that nothing bad.
Like it's just business as usual, right?
Yes. Even though you know damn well that things are going to shuffle, things are going to fall, and things are going to be replaced by things that you did not want to see in the first place.
The only thing that I can also say that is maybe a saving grace and a silver lining, but it's like the biggest, like I'm throwing the biggest bone, which is Japanese people in general, as someone who loves anime, manga, and the Japanese culture, are generally more studious and more principle oriented, and are more stuck in their ways, and in this case more stuck in their ways in a positive way, which
they value their own principles, which you have to admire and see how proud they are of how they do things, how they see things, and how they want to make things. You could say that of course there might be some short-sightedness to it, but who are we to tell the Japanese what to do?
We can only say we like anime and manga. And good luck, guys.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
We will probably report on this again in the future when this acquisition does go through.
Yeah. I mean, just like same thing with the Crunchyroll acquisition, we kind of followed through with it in like a period of like 8 months or whatever, right?
Which was annoying because over those 8 months, nothing fucking happened. And when it happened, it's like, wait, what? Like,
oh yeah, it literally was like one morning.
You guys bought Crunchyroll, but then you're just gonna dissolve Funimation and just make Crunchyroll your thing now? Oh, okay. I guess it worked out for everyone. I suppose. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, literally everyone got pissed off about losing their Funimation. I guess some of their Funimation purchases, but
you don't hear that shit anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You literally don't hear that shit anymore because everyone's worried about the next thing 3 weeks later. So, I think all we can say is good luck out there, guys.
Yeah, good luck, Kadokawa. I suppose good luck to Sony. You don't need luck.
You don't need luck. You
Sony,
got money.
Yeah. So, what this does for you guys? Absolutely nothing right now because the acquisition hasn't gone through. It might not go through, but if it does, just sit tight for a bit because even if an acquisition does go through, it takes time for things to be set in place. So you probably won't really see the effects of an acquisition go down until like a year or two later.
Yeah, because these things take a lot of time, a lot of legalese, a lot of negotiations, and obviously a lot of like antitrust laws to like inspect and do due diligence. But one thing I can guarantee you guys, dear listeners, is that whenever there is an impromptu recording or massive news, Will and I will get up from our beds and report in even during our hiatus because at the end of the day, this is the best place that we think you should be when it comes to anime and manga because our opinions matter the most, right? We are the definitive talking soapbox platform.
We are the GAP.
We are the GAP, the gap that bridges everyone together. Okay. Should I just do show notes? I don't even know what music credits to give.
Just throw out some credits, but like we'll put the music stuff in the description.
Yeah. Okay. So thanks for listening to this episode of the Good Anime Palette Podcast, guys. I know we have a good influx of listeners, so let us know. You know, if you think that we're freaking out for no reason, or if you just need to create a merger support group, we will gladly accommodate you because we are freaking out about this as well.
In fact, I was actually thinking of texting you at 3 a.m. last night, but I figured, I'll just wait till 8 o'clock on the dot.
And guess what? I obliged. So you can always contact us through our email, gapalette@gmail.com, GAPALETTE, all lowercase, all one word, using the handle @PaletteGood, capital P and capital G, all one word, or through our GAP Discord server. Links are in the description. We have a website. We encourage you to check it out, www.goodanimepalette.com, all lowercase, all one word. Music credits for this episode has yet to be announced. We will put it in the show description, but you can always support the music artists that we feature by listening to them on Spotify, Apple Music, or your music listening platform of choice. And Epidemic Sound provides all of our royalty-free music. You're interested, you can always sign up using the referral link in our show description. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you very much for waking up this morning and entertaining my my freaking out.
No, it's good. I mean, honestly, I know we're on hiatus, but part of me is always like itching because we're used to like recording, every once in a while, right? So
yeah, and I was thinking as well. It's like maybe you were like we could do this over Discord. It's like no, actually, I think it'd be good if we met up and talked about this because there's a lot to unravel with it, and it's a lot of sort of like shouting into the void and dooming and glooming. But it's like you said, it's important for everyone to at least have an idea of the implications of such acquisition because when it comes to us being fans, being consumers, we at least want some clarity in terms of how anime is produced and shared with us.
And yeah,
it's not as simple as here's my credit card information, give me a subscription.
Give me slop or whatever.
Yeah.
Just give me the thing I want. It's also because hey, this is really like also an important factor is when you listeners get older, you will become the lawmakers, the politicians, the animators, the directors.
It's too late. It's too late for us.
Yeah, like Will and I we'll try our best, but
I'm not running for office.
Like we're struggling, right? But like people listening now or people that are consuming anime and manga some of them will be the people that can change the face of the industry, whether it's through creative works of anime studio,
through legislation,
or through just an online web portal of, light novel, was it the Naru platform?
Yeah.
And then as through like a web novel, you then get an anime adaptation, you become famous. All of that has happened already, and it will happen time and time and again, because at the end of the day, anime and manga is awesome, and people, just like any other industry, can always make a splash and an impact. It is just this time around, the impact is not necessarily the greatest and most cheeriest of news.
Yeah. So,
I mean, do you think we'll do more of these random episodes? I mean, I guess obviously it depends, right, on what we have.
I mean, this one was big enough for us to get out of bed and record, right? So it really, we need to see what comes up in the future. Who knows? Like whenever we start doing our, when we start doing our regular episodes again, we may bring back, a little bit of a news segment and just, talk about like one or two headlines and like, see what the hell's going on.
And maybe
it's more like we don't necessarily need to talk about like upcoming releases, because that's why we have our seasonal episodes.
Right.
We don't need to talk about new new manga coming out, because that's why we have our ASAP.
But maybe we will do something. We're trying to shift things a bit. We're trying to change things up and see what works and what doesn't. But thank you for joining us on this ride. Continue to be on this ride, and we will see what is next in store for all of us.
Until then, Jason and I are going to go back to our respective caves and slumber until January.
I need to eat lunch. Do you want to eat lunch?
I actually got to go out
Fuck.
and find my wife. My wife is waiting for me.
All right. I'll check you later. Bye.